This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, thanks very much for joining me. I've got a special guest on this episode of the show. It is Dave Matrise from Jungle Rot. Now, the catalyst for the conversation initially, at the very least, was an Australian tour. A tour had been booked, and you'll find out why that tour has been cancelled throughout the episode, so I won't mention it in the introduction here. But Dave and I, we kept in touch since late last year, and lo and behold, the conversation came to fruition. I'm very grateful for that because Dave's one of those guys that I've been looking forward to having a chat with for a long time. He'd been on my bucket list, an extensive bucket list that I have, and I'm gradually ticking off all of these excellent musicians. Dave's a great example. Before we kick into the chat, if you're listening via the podcast apps, you'll hear a burning cinder. Unfortunately, all of you people on YouTube, you know the drill. I can't play music on YouTube lest I get the episode removed and taken down in a copyright strike. So here it is, a burning cinder. If you're listening via the podcast apps and all you YouTubers, let's get into the conversation right now. Let's go. Dave, how you going?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can, mate. Yeah, loud and clear.
Good,
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, good morning. What is it, 5:30?
5:30 on a Saturday morning, mate. It's a good time to be doing this sort of thing. Great to be alive and doing it.
Good. I'm usually up by 5:30 every morning anyways.
Oh, yeah? What do you do apart from play enthralling brutal death metal? What takes up most of your time for doing that?
I'm into the hunting field, the hunting trade. Work on farms and I take people out hunting at the off time.
Is that right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So were you born and raised in Kenosha?
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah.
I live out in the county. I moved probably about a half hour, 45 minutes from the city out in the county, built the house.
Uh-huh. Now, did your family have anything to do with American Motors?
One of my uncles did. Yeah, you know about American Motors, huh? Yeah, that was at one time when I was little, that's where all the work was coming from, man. Yeah, that was, 2,500, 3,000 people at any given time,
Yeah, they actually had a presence here in Australia under their old moniker of Rambler. So
I know the Rambler. I used to have an AMX. You remember the AMX?
I love them. Yeah, gosh almighty. You had an AMX, so the old Javelin shape.
I had two Javelins. That's the full body. Then I had the actual AMXs, the two-seaters.
Oh,
yeah, the Donahues. I don't know if you know the Donahue edition.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. What color was it?
Black with the side pipes. Yeah, it was two-seater posi. Yeah, 390 posi. I remember one of my Javelins had a 401 in it. I ended up having a 401 in one of those. Yeah, them were the big cars, man. Back now you finally see those AMCs finally worth money. Everything else was more money back then. Chevelle always held more, Mustangs always held more. It always seems like AMC was the lowest, but now they're finally up there in top dollars for collectors, man, if you could find them.
You're not wrong. Yeah, see, my dream car is an SC360, the Hornet.
Oh yeah,
if I could get a hold of, if I could get a hold of one of them, but the SC/Rambler, the Hearst, that's another one.
Remember the Gremlin? The Gremlin, remember that one?
Yeah, the Gremlin never made it here to Australia, and I always the Pacer and the Gremlin, the shape was always a bit polarizing, wasn't it?
Pacer. The Pacer had the So the AMX actually made it there. You actually had AMXs there in Australia then?
You had, so they imported them as complete knockdown kits, okay, and then they were made down in Melbourne. So they under the Rambler brand. So I think a lot of enthusiasts went and rebadged their Ramblers as AMXs, and I could be wrong, but I think in 1969 or 1970 they did actually bring out the AMX. So they did it for 1 year or maybe 2 years or thereabouts. But you'll find if you go online, you can see this stuff. But there's a lot of enthusiasts still for the brand. Yeah. You can tell I'm one of them.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I would have never thought that. I didn't know that, man. That's pretty interesting. I learned something today.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So, well, look, thanks for doing this. Thanks for agreeing to have a chat. And I've got to say, I was really disappointed when it turned out that you guys weren't coming down. So, can you shed any light on what happened?
Well, basically, it came down to the sales. The sales weren't there, man. I mean, that's, Anthony thought it was a good move to pull it. You might as well pull it. And we're going to try to reschedule it again for next spring, April, May. Me personally, we've never been there. I don't think we're a headliner, man. I was trying to hopefully get a big package together to make it work, but he's trying to push us as a headliner, and we ran into ticket issues, But we hope that we come back. He's working on something for April, May next year, and we hope maybe it'll be a better package to get us over there.
That's an interesting point about the status of a headliner or whether you come out as part of a package or what have you. Yeah, see, I've known about you since I read an edition of SOD magazine back in 97 or 98.
Oh, yeah. Sounds of death.
Exactly.
Sure,
yeah.
Dave Horn.
There you go. Yeah, and you're in an edition that also featured more.
We never been over. We never. Yeah. We never been over there, on tour. So it's kind of hard to establish yourself where you're at, in a career when you start. I guess I don't. But I was kind of against the idea in the beginning to try to put a better package together because I was worried about this, and it happened. We tried, and we're going to try to redo it again. That's the best thing.
Look, you're not the only ones. There's Unsane have just cancelled as well. Look, they're all citing costs of touring per COVID. Now, I get that might be a factor, but I think thank you for being frank about it too, by the way, insofar as the reason for why you weren't able to come out. But I think that Unsane and some of these other groups, I'm sure that the bloke who's bringing you out is a credible businessman who's got his shit together and all of this sort of stuff, but it's a bit of a cottage industry at the moment, bringing bands into Australia from the United States and Europe as well. And look, everything was smashed apart during COVID, as you well know, and things are now being reestablished, and there might just be an issue of saturation, market saturation as well.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, man, for real, man, because we're getting ready to do a European tour here in the next 3 weeks, man. And, I'm really nervous about this tour because we're actually starting out in the red already. I mean, that's not a good thing. But we're going to try, we'll make it up with the merch, we hope. And, we come back and we break even, or, I got to pay the guys out something, but everything has been up. Our plane tickets from usually going over to Europe, they're $300 more. So now you're looking at, $3, $6, $9, $1,200 more on top of that. It just everything is added up, and in the end, it's just you're over cost, man. But we can't afford to cancel a tour right now, and we're going to make the best of it. And I don't think we're going to take a loss, but I don't think there'll be much of a payout on this next run.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, I just hope it all happens with Australia. But you were able to go on 70,000 tons of metal this year. So how was that?
That was great. That was our second time being there, and they invited us back, and it was a great time. It's always a good time. You see a lot of people, and it's just a fun, no stress show. It's pretty relaxing. We did pretty good this year. We enjoyed ourselves a lot.
How is it? So you're on the boat. You're not in a separate area to the fans, though. You're having dinner and everything else with the fans as well.
Yeah. That's what makes it so cool, man. That's what, it's like one big family, like metal is, that you really are one big family. It's really neat, man. Yeah.
Very, very true. Very true. So just in regards to your career, look, you're 11 albums in. Which era or album would you say would be your favourite and the one that you'd show to people if they were unfamiliar with jungle rock?
I think the self-titled, I really like that one. I think that one came out well. We got the most, seemed like we started climbing every year. We climbed more, but it seemed like that one took off the launch the most. We toured the most on that one. It just seems like that one got the most, reaction from anything. And I think it's a good one to start out as, and then you can always catch up with the other ones.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Just talking about the touring side again, what's your thoughts now? It's almost a decade on from Mayhem Fest, of course. And now there were some things that were written about that online, etc. Kerry King had some things to say. What are your thoughts about that now, a decade on?
I really don't have a thought on it. He spoke his opinion. I spoke mine. I can't remember what it really was, but I think he was cutting up on some bands on the side stage, and I said my thing and he said his thing, and it is what it is,
Yeah,
I usually don't try to get into too much dirt. I'm not a dirt talking guy, That was just kind of like in the heat, in the moment we're on tour, they were kind of doing interviews and this and every night. I had a lot of press every night. And I remember he was running his mouth for weeks before that. And I think I just couldn't take it. And the interview was at the right time, I guess. And I voiced my opinion.
Oh, I read your commentary just in preparation for our chat here, and I think you're on point back then, insofar as he had an opportunity, I think, to support the bands that were on the bill, but instead he chose to shit on some of the bands. And there are other factors, obviously, at play outside of which bands are on the bill that might lead to some those lack of ticket sales or whatever it was that might have been the issue at the time. But look, if you're not going to support bands, don't say anything then if you can't get into a position, because it's very easy. You're in Slayer, you're a guarantee. It's just one of those bands like Metallica or what have you. And you can play in bloody Greenland or what have you, and you're going to draw a crowd just because of the cachet and you've been around for that long and you're just one of the lucky ones, let's face it. But I thought you handled yourself very well, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, he was, from what I remember, man, he was just blunt. He was saying I wouldn't come to the fest either, and the fest, we're still touring, we're trying to make money, and just weird how he was just saying that, running bad mouth on the tour as it was going. That should have never been done. It should have been waited till it was over, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. But the other thing is, look, you're one of the, in my opinion, you're one of the last underground acts to emerge from the 90s to achieve serious recognition. And as I said, I found out about you guys through SOD magazine. And but you are at a point now. I talk about Slayer being able to play in Greenland or really anywhere and pull a crowd. But you're also one of those bands. If you're a metal fan, you know about Jungle Rot. So you've already mentioned the self-titled album there, but was that the episode or the epoch in the band's career where you realised, hang on a sec, we might actually be doing this as a career?
No, I think I've been doing it for a career for way before that, man. I just, I think if anything, it just kept us going to write the next album, because you never want to go backwards. You always want to go forward. And I just think we always look at climbing that ladder. On this last one, we still think we're getting better opportunities at festivals and exposure still coming. So we're still climbing that ladder in our career, man. The thing with genre, what I think is, we came out a little bit too late when the greats came out. We came out in 95, and I think, the timing wasn't right for us. And, the heavyweights got signed and are still here today. I've always told everybody in this industry, no one's really going to try to rise up to the next level until the heavyweights go away. And I don't see them ever going away ever, man. So I'm going to be stuck where I'm at forever. I think the next, maybe in 10 years, these next generations like Frozen Soul and 200 Stab Wounds, they might be the next headliners of today,
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Because eventually these bands are going to get old like me and we're going to fade away.
Yeah, I got to say, I never thought of death metal as being something that would continue. I'm in my mid-40s, and where even Trey from Morbid Angel's pushing 60 now and got grey hair. And it's not that it's weird to see what have you. Of course, it's a completely natural thing. We age, we get older, we advance in our life. But to know that death metal, in a way, it's I used to say it was dad's music, but I'm sure you got plenty of grandparents at your gigs, if you know what I'm saying, people well into their 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I mean, we're cool like seeing that. I like seeing it when they come with their kids, the next generation, and we've seen that wave come, how our generation, the next generation, now we're actually on the third generation, that generation. So it's kind of, that's one of the good things about touring too. When we tour, we've been seeing the same fans for years. They come out and support us, and we know their kids when they're yellow and they grow up. We see it all happen. It's pretty neat, man.
Hey, what's the biggest challenge or obstacle you've had to overcome throughout your career?
I'm not sure, man. The biggest obstacle would be somehow just trying to keep this band going. It's amazing I keep it going. It's every day it's an obstacle just trying to keep it going. And, I live it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, but not too much, just keeping the guys together, the band, that's the most important thing, is keeping it fun and keeping us together, the core, that's the hardest thing. I've always said, in music, the most special thing is finding the 2 or 3 or 4 guys that share that same dream and want to share it together, and that's very hard to do.
Have you had personnel issues in the band where you've had to act as, when I say the manager, you've had to manage personalities and issues and that sort of thing, or has it been more of a case of, you're either on the bus or you're off the bus?
I think it's you're on the bus or you're off the bus, pretty much, man. Yeah, because the wheels are always rolling. You know, we don't have time for bullshit. You know, I mean, we got to keep going forward. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty much you're on or you're off. I like the way you put it.
Have you still got those 4x12s, those speaker cabinets that have the band name embossed into the side?
Oh yeah, the Vaders. Yeah, we got them. The Vaders. Yeah, I love Vader cabinets, man. Yeah, that was a treat, man. We end up doing. You know, I don't. Adam for quite a long time, man. He's from Wisconsin, where I'm from, but about 5 hours away. And he always told me, you got to try these cabinets, and we want to endorse you, why don't you do it? And I remember talking to him at a fest. I'm like, I don't know, man. I like my Marshall, I like my Celestians. I remember him telling me, do you actually think, that's the best speaker out there, with the technology today and this and that? I'm like, you're probably right, man. Well, he ended up supplying the backline for that festival. And we end up using it, and I was like, "Yeah, they're pretty good, man. They're hot sounding." Well, I said, "Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a deal, man." So we did a deal with them, and then I remember I had no idea those were even going to look like that, man. They just showed up, and it was like, "Oh my god!" It was like, "We won." I mean, at that time, it was like the Orange County of cabinets. I don't know if you remember, like Orange County choppers. It was all customizing and. It was unbelievable. He was the first company to customize cabinets, and it was amazing how they turned out. I wish I had one in the room here. I'd pan it around and show you, but they're in the trailer packed away.
So they're still going. They're not banged up or beaten up from on the road.
No. We put covers on them. I made like old, like the original covers from like Marshall cabinets. I went to the music store and got them cardboard boxes that they ship them. And I just cut the bottom and slide them right over. And they got like little cabinets, covers that go over them. Yeah. Yeah, they're perfectly perfect.
Epic. Yeah, I always remember that. I remember you guys doing a video on that a decade ago, or whenever it was. And I'm thinking, wow, why aren't more bands doing this? Because that is so cool.
Yeah, that really launched him, man. I mean, because like I said, he was the first to doing that. And when they showed up, when I got those, I remember I was like, oh my God, we win. For once we win. Because to this day, every time we go out playing with them, somebody says something when they see them. How can you not,
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Hey, what are your thoughts?
We use them all the time, man. And, I love Vader cabinets. People that know when they use them, they know that sound. And when I do festivals and use other cabinets, I could tell that difference. I wish I had my cab, because I could tell they're just a little brighter and hotter what we are. We're a little brighter band, middier band, and that's what those cabinets are, more mid.
I was going to say, thanks for bringing it up. You guys are like a mid. Your strengths are definitely in the mids. You're like the reverse Pantera with regards to your sound. You haven't scooped the sound.
Exactly. Well, that's funny you say it, because when I went to school, I remember when kids went to, when we had the EQs in the cars and stuff, man, and they always used to set them like this. Remember, they were like this. I was always the difference. I was like this, man, because, or what I'm saying? They did them like this, and we did them like
inverse
this.
Pyramid, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, till this day, I'm still, if I was to mix something, it'd be like that, all mids. I mean,
yeah, same here. I've been yelled at in bands before about that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm a bassist, as you can probably tell, and I used to have a Sun amplifier that had a graphic equalizer on it, and I'd come in after a break or whatever, and I'd have it like that too, but it'd be like that. Yeah. The drummer or whoever had mixed it, and I was saying, oh my God, because it would just be bass then. And then with the guitar, I was playing in pop and rock bands, right? So it wasn't metal bands, but I'm thinking, I can't hear myself. I need to be able to hear, but not so much, especially with a 5-string, not so much of an issue these days.
There's actually a real special hidden talent, man, that I really don't tell too many people. But a lot of musicians know about it. We use those dual rectifier mesas, man, and we turn the treble all the way off, and we turn the mids all the way up, and the bass all the way up. And there's something in there when you turn the treble all the way off. It's like a completely different amp, man. So we crank the bass all the way, the mids all the way, and treble all the way off. That's pretty much how we set our mesas, man.
Yeah. I don't know whether this is a wives' tale or not, but I think Steve Harris, I think it was Steve Harris, as I say, I think this could be a wives' tale or it could be true. So work with me here when I share this tale. But there was some sort of a fan meet and greet thing where you could go on stage during the pre-show and you could play Steve's bass, this sort of thing. And and it turned out most of the people who got up there, they were, what's going on? I don't sound like you whatsoever, but it's all in here too. It's all the way you do this thing as well. And the way you obviously play, you've just found the sonic equivalent, the sonic match that brings out the real color in your playing, courtesy of the way in which you're picking.
Absolutely. It's all in the control. That's anybody can play it and they'd be like, what the hell? But yeah, I think that's how you establish your sound, is by your technique of playing. And then eventually you find your sound that highlights your playing the best, I guess. Right. And that's how that is. I mean, the mids are, we're a real tight band. That's what we are, man. Everything comes through perfect, Yeah,
you are. You're right. Yeah. The YouTube clips show that. Actually, the fan film YouTube clips show how tight you guys are.
Mm-hmm.
It's brutal. Yeah. What about, just going back in time again, a lot has been written about that fella, Tony Brummel from Victory Records, but what was your experience with him like?
With Tony, I had a great relationship with Tony. I mean, being with Victory were some of the best times of my career. The label was totally into us. I mean, they wanted us to succeed. I mean, he did anything for me, but he had a bad name, And there's a lot of people in the industry that had a bad name, but he's never done nothing to us wrong. And he's pushed the band to the max that he possibly could, when we're with him.
You're right. No worries.
Okay, go ahead. I just had to grab some water.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Yeah, he had some of the best times. When we signed on to that label, and the first thing, he had a staff of people around 40 people at the time. I mean, it was a real label. We were freaking out, the first time we were actually on a real label. But, he was a well-oiled machine back then. And then as we got to the end of our career, filling our contract out, he was getting to the bottom. You can see that he had a lot of financial issues, obviously, that folded the label.
Yeah, is it Hawthorne Heights, the band, on Thursday? Or I was ages ago, I read the Reddit threads and the like, and then I sort of dived into a little bit of it last night in preparation for our chat. But look, you could probably pick up almost any record label, and especially a boutique one like what he was running. And there's going to be idiosyncrasies about the person running it. So I don't think he was unique in that regard. He's just the only person where some of that insight has been shed or shared, courtesy of some of the bands that are on the label. But it's interesting that he was into you guys, because you guys are a bit different for him, I think.
Yeah, I think when we grew up in Chicago, so I kind of knew him from that, I mean, we knew him from the scene, and he was always a fan of the band, and to this day we can remember anytime we played the city or anything, Tony would be at the show, man. I mean, he'd be in the pit, It's pretty incredible. Half the time he'd be thrown out of the show. He would be thrown out. They'd get him thrown out. That's how nuts he was. I mean, yeah, multiple times, man. I mean, the guy was in. I mean, it was great. I mean, that's in our sense, that's what you kind of want, is a boss like that. That's he's in the pit for us, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. There's another side of Tony Brummel. I'd love to have a chat with him, actually, and just get him to. I doubt he'd do it, but I'd love him to just share his story. And
he's got a lot of stories. He's been through it all. He's self-made man. He started that label from nothing. A lot of people talk bad about him. Everybody's had their experience, good or bad, but I can't say anything bad. He's, like I said, some of the best times in my career with that label, and he did anything for me, whatever. That was the reason why we signed to him, because, we come off another label. I think we were off of Napalm. We did a one album deal with Napalm, and, back then, you're releasing 20 to 30 bands at a month. 2-3 would get by only, and then the rest would just fade out. With Victory, we were the only death metal band, so it was all priority. That we knew that going into it, so everything was just us. We liked that. I mean, we weren't competing against anybody.
No, that was definitely the case. Yeah, and you guys also had something to do with Jamie Jester when he was first starting out.
Yeah, he put out our first release. Yep, he did our first one. Yep, our demo, Pure Death Records. He put that out. I'll actually be seeing him pretty soon, because we're doing the Milwaukee Metal Fest coming up in another week. I don't know if you heard, he's doing the Milwaukee Metal Fest. If you ever hear that one, he's bringing it back. So we're excited to play that and see him, talk about some old times.
Yeah, he's a machine, Jamie. He's been doing it now for so long, hasn't he? And he just, I think he understands what this is all about, what death metal and extreme metal is all about.
Yeah, he does a lot for the industry and music, period, man. He's a great spokesperson, and he's he's true metal. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Never lost his roots, man. Never lost his roots.
No, definitely, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do a bit of a left turn here. I was just talking to Blitz the other night, Blitz from Overkill, that is, about these sort of topics, but political and social issues and the like. Do you have an interest in politics at all?
I stay away from it, man. I got too much time to worry about myself and keeping myself healthy.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah. It's well, I mean, we live in an era where anything that goes on in any part of the globe can be amplified a million times over, courtesy of social media, and well, that's the platform, really, isn't it? The internet, and as a consequence, social media. But we do definitely live in interesting times, I think, and I think in the run up to 2024 with the United States, the presidential election there, I last week is when you started to see, I call it silly season, because Trump being interviewed, and I'm just saying that CNN, of course, have tried to give him try to get him a gotcha situation, but I think he turned the tables quite a bit on them there. And so here we are. We're going back into the presidential lead up. So I just wanted to. I was just interested if you had a perspective on things. That was all.
Yeah, just I learned over the last few years, man, that you got to watch what you say, man. That's for damn sure. It divided a lot of people, and I don't want to keep it going. I just want to.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, but isn't it interesting that fans I'm definitely not left wing at all, right? But a lot of my favourite bands are Faith No More, Dead Kennedys, this sort of thing, and they're all lefties, right? But I could always go, that's a separate thing. Their political views and the views that they have on social issues and the like is completely separate to my absolute appreciation for their music and even some of their lyrical content. But a lot of fans get caught up in this thing, and the polarization, if you like, they buy into that, and they can't be fans of a band if they have a whole different political perspective.
Yeah, I plead the fifth. That's all I can say. I do say one thing: I'm pro guns. That can lead you anywhere. I am pro gun rights. I mean, I make a living with guns, so there's a flip side to all this. You know, there's a lot of people that make a living like myself off of guns, and I'm one of the persons, man. I mean.
Well, that's a very misunderstood aspect of American culture, I think, globally speaking, because it's the first thing you hear a lot of these idiots belt the United States about is, you got to ban guns, you got to stop guns. And of course they try to make it a binary issue, which is ban guns or keep guns or what have you. And it's something about that frontier culture of the United States, of course, and you also had a civil war as well. So you've got a lot of this legacy, if you like, this right to bear arms, if you like, and I think it's a very admirable aspect of your culture.
Yeah, it is. We're never going to let it go. I mean, it's something that we fight for every day. It's on, every day it's a battle to keep them rights, but we're never going to let them go, man. I mean,
no, yeah. What would you say to somebody who was looking to get into firearms? Where do you think they should start?
What was that again?
If someone was what sort of dog have you got there, actually?
I have 4 labs. 4 labs. They work for when I do the hunting, the guiding, I train them, and they're all Labradors. I got 2 blacks and 2 yellows. Okay,
gotcha. Yeah. I was just asking in regards to someone like myself who doesn't have any background. I mean, I was in the cadets as a kid, right? So I learned how to use a 308. I think I was using back then.
That's a great caliber.
Yeah. And
one of my second favorite. I love a 308.
Oh, really? Okay, there you go. Yeah.
223 would be my first favorite. I like that.
So how do you, a bit like a guitar, you have a preference for a guitar and cabinets as we've discussed. How do you, what was the journey to developing a preference with a firearm? Is it just the way it feels when you shoot it? It just feels right? Yeah,
when you bring it up, it's like, it would be like a guitar, like you said, feel in the neck. When you bring it up, it's just right there, it's just fitted, there's nothing better than anything, something fitted for you, when you bring it up, it's true, I mean, you don't want to be pushing too far out, where it's too far out. You want it right in there, a fitted gun goes a long way. It really does.
Yeah. For you, with use of firearms, is it the thrill of the chase? Is that the thing? Is that the thing that gets the adrenaline flowing?
Not about the kill at all, man. That's the least of it. I sell the dream, memories. I give them that. I mean, just, the harvest is just a bonus on top of it, but the memories last forever.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's a huge hunting fan and does a lot of hunting himself.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, you should go on that show. You'd be great on
I
that.
would love to. I remember when he first just started getting into it. Now he's a pro now. He's full blown. He's definitely got the fever.
Yeah,
He's
definitely.
really into it. He's really into it.
Yeah. Do you have you ever had a situation where you've been in Europe or even in, I mentioned you haven't been to Australia yet, but Europe especially, there are a lot of views in Europe are anti-gun, that sort of thing. Have any fans tried to have a conversation with you about that sort of thing?
I bring it up quite a bit, man, because I think it's interesting to me. The last time we did a festival in, where was it? We're in Mexico doing one of the big festivals. I was hanging out with Tom from Sodom, and Martin from the Fixiate, and we started talking. Tom's a big hunter, and I'm a big hunter, so we always talking about hunting. And it's different how he's from Germany, he's allowed to have guns, and then Martin's from Netherlands. There's no way they can have guns. They'll be in prison. It's just weird how from different country it's strange. And I don't want the U.S. to be like that. Wisconsin, you can have them. Illinois, you can't. It's just weird how that But you hear the stories of their history when you talk about it, and they remember when they had to turn their guns in, and you hear about that, and it's a nightmare to me. It's a horror story when I hear that. I mean,
yeah, Australia had gun amnesty in 1996 after the Port Arthur massacre. The fucking psychopath decided that he wanted to blow up families down there in Tasmania, and I think I certainly know that a lot of the Democrats and the anti-gun people in the United States bring that up, but I think they've got that completely wrong. It was an amnesty over unlicensed gun ownership. Okay, that's really what that was about. And I don't think anybody is, certainly nobody on a political platform is advocating in the United States this is for gun ownership without a license. I think that's very important. But the whole idea that we in Australia here went through this amnesty, it's a situation, I think, that not that we would do something differently again. I think it was the right thing to do, but we don't have a frontier culture in Australia. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy for us to give up our guns and not really lose anything, if you like. And the other thing too is if I want to go and we don't have the livestock, if you like. I don't know. We have we've got a lot of snakes and that sort of thing, but you're not going to shoot at them. But
we
got
the stags, right? Red stag, you got stags, or what do you got there?
You depending on where you live, the United States, Australia, like the United States.
That's how it is here. That's how it is here too. The more north you get, the more game you get into. Yeah,
New Zealand have got a lot of elk. I think they've got an elk issue there, and I know as soon as when you get into regional New South Wales and parts of Victoria, there's too many horses, too many wild brumbies. Oh, yeah. So they cull them from time to time, but I think that's a government thing that does that. I think they hire people, obviously.
Yeah, we have an issue with that here too, because they run wild in the West, and they and then they interfere with the wildlife of the elk and stuff, and elk can't feed, and they're taking the feed. Actually the horse is the king of the king out there of all of them. Yeah, we have a wild horse problem as well. They've been trapping them and stuff as well.
Pigs, the big issue here in Queensland is people go pigging.
Yeah, we don't have them here, man. In Wisconsin, we don't. If we see farrows, we're allowed to shoot them all year. But Texas, other states, it's out of control. You can't shoot enough of them. I mean, they're the damage that they do every day is, you can never get back.
Yeah, you get a lot of the greenie types. Around where I'm here, you get cane toads as well. They're absolute bastards. They're mongrels. They destroy native habitat. They're a menace to the ecology, if you like. So, I'll tell anybody, mate, I get a bloody golf club and I go whacking with my daughter. We go toad whacking because they're bastards,
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's for anybody who was interested in, learning and going shooting. Do you think that they should go to a rifle range first or a gun shooting range first?
You should take a course first, a course, definitely like a multiple choice course, even a field training course, you do a lot of hunter safety training courses. I think that's the way to start out. And then that introduces you and shows you the right from wrong. And then, absolutely start at a range for somebody that knows what they're doing to teach you the right way first instead of the wrong way. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people. They never were taught properly. And that's why there's so many issues with guns. because you start out young, you're going to respect them the right way. You started older, you lose respect for anything, in my opinion, right? I mean,
no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no question about that. Yeah. Did your family, did they introduce you to guns? Is that how it worked for you?
My dad did a little hunting, but my uncle was a big hunter when I was young. Every weekend, he took me my whole life. Every weekend, we hunted every Saturday and Sunday for rabbit and duck and pheasant and everything. And that's how I eventually came into it and started guiding and just stayed right into it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, very cool. Mate, I'll make this one thereabouts my last question for you, but you've lived a very dynamic life, clearly. When's the autobiography coming out?
That'd be cool, man. I don't know if it would sell, but it would be cool, man. I mean, I do kind of live the dream. I do the hunting and the music, and I live a good life, but I couldn't do it without my wife. She supports me, of course. And, but yeah, it's been an interesting life.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see you down here. I hope that tour does happen again.
I think we're going to make it, man. I think we'll be there in April, May next year. I'm pretty sure we're going to be there. We're going to make it happen regardless. And I hope the second time around it works out, man. We might try to do something. I don't know. I've been talking to Anthony for a while. We're trying to figure something out, how to try to get some promotion down there for 3 months before it or something. We're trying to figure something out, man. We'll be down there. I mean, more interviews like this. I need to do more stuff like this.
Yeah, that's the only comment that I make. I don't know Anthony from a bar of soap. Didn't even know who it was behind the tour or what have you. And but with a lot of these cottage, I call them cottage, the cottage industry of touring and the like here in Australia. They're not doing the grassroots stuff all of that well, unfortunately. And I'm not aiming that at Anthony specifically. I'm simply saying that, like, I this is my hobby, right? I'm a journalist, but this is my hobby, so I talk to people all the time. So I've got a pretty good read on when people are coming into the country, and I reach out, or sometimes people reach out to me, but how easy it is to have a chat with people. Yeah, and I think being able to have a conversation with a lot of the hobbyists, the people like me, mate, that's really important. It's really important to spread the word that way. Yeah. Because you might get you might go on YouTube and the conversations get a couple of thousand watches or what have you. But I think of that, you're going to pick up 4 or 5 or 6 people that are interested, and they're going to go to the show as a consequence, and they become enthusiastic, and then they tell people. So yeah, from their perspective, I hope they do a lot more and they organise these sort of chats for you.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I mean, he seems like he's really in it. He seems like a nice guy, and we're excited to work with them, come over there. I think we'll make it work, and in the end, everything will be good.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing. I'm a fan. Be awesome to see you guys out here. So good luck with everything, mate, and look forward to that. Yeah,
thank you, Andrew. Did you pick up our last one at all?
The last album?
Called Arms?
Oh, yeah. I tend to, my fandom sort of sits just in the nature of things, sort of like the turn of the century, that sort of thing. But yeah, I've had a couple of listens to it, man. Yeah, nice work.
Right. I'm just wondering, did you buy it? Did you find it? Do you see any of our stuff there from Unique Leader? I'm just asking about the label. Do you see anything? Does it get over there, or is it pretty much just find it yourself and order it when you see it?
Pretty much order it when I see it. But whilst I'm talking to you, I know Spotify, do they do things via territories? I don't think that they do, but let me just check for you.
I never knew that either. I always wondered if it was on the Spotify and by you, or.
Yeah, no, A Call to Arms, that's where I listen to it. It's on Spotify, mate. I mean, that's these days you're on Spotify, or excuse the term, you're camping, meaning you're just not, you're not under the, you're not really out there getting it out to people. And mate, it's on Spotify, and let me see if it's got it's all there. There's no worries whatsoever. Yeah, it's all there. You've got when I go, I don't think we do it via territories, but mate, you're pushing 1 million streams for A Burning Cinder. That's not bad. So
I always wonder, that label, Victory was, like I said, that was that was a real label when we worked with them. And now, Napalm was a good label. Now we're kind of, we worked out good with the Unique Leader, good advance money there to keep us going. But I know it's a small kinds of change now with labels for sure, I mean, but I just wonder how good he does, I know in Europe it gets over there good. I do a lot of interviews over there, and people said that, that's one of the up and coming labels that are out there in Europe. So it's kind of nice to hear that,
Do you handle all of so if I ordered a T-shirt, for example, from the website, is it you that sends that, or have you got a merch label that will do that for you?
It'd be the merch label, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm just looking online now to see how easy it is to get things for you here in Australia. But and no, don't do that. I mean, it's also global these days, isn't it? But
Yeah.
have you guys got a website?
The actual website's gone. I don't even know if anybody uses those anymore, do they? Everything's Facebook and Instagram.
It's a very interesting point that I could talk about for an hour just on that alone. Because with Chat GPT, you probably heard of Chat GPT. That's changing everything again.
Yeah.
So that's becoming Google, if you like.
Okay.
And if I was lazy, I could have gone on to Chat GPT. And without knowing anything about you or the band, I would have said, "Hey, Chat GPT, tell me about Dave and Jungle Rot and develop some questions for an interview that I have tomorrow." And it would come up with 20 questions.
Unbelievable.
The fact that we're there, but yeah, look, I'm on your on Unique Leaders Bandcamp site. It's all there. Yeah, you can buy digital album for $9. I want to just check if they can get, because merch is the most important thing in my opinion.
Vinyl is vinyl in or vinyl out of stock?
It's not giving me a whole heap of information, I've got to be honest. So maybe if I went to Unique Leader, but then if I go to your
vinyl's so hard.
Yeah, are you having troubles getting that printed up? Are you getting vinyl printed up?
Such a wait, man. It's just, they're never going to catch up. That's still a 7-8 month wait.
Well, Metallica just bought a printing press.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, what the rumor is. The rumor is that all the top bands, that I was always told over the years that all them top bands now are making vinyl finally, all your hot, your biggest of the biggest, and they're making them by the thousands, by the billions, and versus an underground label that's only pressing 1,500 to 1,000 at a time, and there's no priority. And that's why I've always told they're backed up forever.
Well, this is my understanding of the other issue is that it's the Taylor Swifts and the Katy Perrys of the world, and their fans don't even own record players, yet they're releasing vinyl and they're selling like 100,000 a hit. Yeah. Have you heard about that? What's going on there? It's very odd.
I haven't, but I believe it. I've been doing the music business for 30 plus years, and I still can't figure it out.
It was so weird to hear. I think, listen, I could be wrong here, but I think in the last 20 or 30 years, that last Taylor Swift album was the highest selling vinyl in that period. And, man, how many of her 9-year-old fans or whatever age group they are would have, I mean, I've got a vinyl player just there. You can see it, but of course I do. That's my vinyl collection there. But I'm a old school fan, but these younger people, I mean, what the hell would they have a need for vinyl for? I don't understand it. It's Adele was it Adele? It was one of them anyway, one of those types of artists who you and I probably wouldn't listen to unless we were forced to. But yeah, you got your Linktree set up. Do you do all of this? Do you set up all your Linktree stuff on your socials? And
yeah, I don't do most. My bass player runs most of that stuff.
Yeah, you got old Victory Records, Jungle Rot merch. You got it all happening here, mate. You can't do any more than that, really. You got a European store here, and that's very important. Europe is, it's pretty much outside of the United States. That's pretty much where it's at. So, yeah, you can. I assume that if I wanted to order a call to arms here from Europe, it'd come here because God knows I've had to do it before. It's we tend to get, even though we're nowhere near Europe, we tend to sort of get lumped into that category in Australia. So. And you got some pretty cool T-shirts on display here. I tell you what, I was really looking forward to getting. I'm a T-shirt collector. I don't actually wear them, but I would have loved one of your T-shirts with the tour dates on the back if they were going to do that. If Anthony was going to do that, yeah. So hopefully that happens for April next year.
Yeah, we'll definitely do the tour dates. To this day, they still sell the most every time. People. That's how I grew up. With tour dates, I always picked that one when I went to the show, and it's till to this day the tour dates will always sell more. Just more personal. You put it together,
Oh, it's a keepsake, isn't it? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a memory of the show, and you put it in your cupboard or your storage area or what have you. In a couple of years' time, you're thinking, man, I'm going to go and watch Morbid Angel or whatever. I'll whip out my Jungle Rot t-shirt that I bought back then. And I think it's just really cool to sort of show your loyalties that way.
I agree, man. It's pretty cool.
Cool, mate. Yeah. Well, I'll let you get back to it, mate. Thanks so much for the chat. I really appreciate it. It's been a great one.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for hitting me up. And I'm pretty sure we'll be over there, and hopefully you can make one of the shows. We can hang out and we'll talk some more for sure, man.
Absolutely, mate. Look forward to catching a beer with you, mate, for sure.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right. Thanks very much, brother.
Old school.
Absolutely.
You too, man.
Definitely.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, mate. Gotcha. There he is, ladies and gents, Dave Matrise from Jungle Rot. Fantastic fella. Enjoyed that one. I enjoy them all. But these legends, these guys that have been around for years, the veterans of the extreme metal scene, they tend to be amongst my favourites. A great chat, that one. So if you like that one, go across to scarsandguitars.com, where many more interviews and conversations with luminaries of the world, from the world of hard rock, heavy metal, extreme metal, death metal, you get it. All of those broader subgenres of subversive music. So many conversations await for your listening pleasure. Whilst you're there, click on the link in the banner and you'll be taken to a marketplace of your choice to download a sample of my book. And if you do like the book and complete the purchase, do hit me up, because I want to thank you personally. The book is all about the podcast. It's semi-autobiographical, but it's all focused on the conversations that have taken place with so many great musicians. So that's it from me. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast. There's some more information about the book coming up. But until next time, it's a very good bye for now.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
You know, if you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, you know, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you. Look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, you know, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
You know, my name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot. And
we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.